Hurricane Dorian is finally moving again after ravaging the Bahamas. The storm began swirling slowly closer to the U.S. mainland today. It has lost some of its punch, but leaves utter ruin in its wake. John Yang has been watching from Jacksonville, Florida.
After Hurricane Dorian sat over the northern Bahamas, residents woke up to find their homes surrounded by floodwaters. Some had to flee through waters chest high. Dorian's eye hovered over Grand Bahama, the northernmost island, for more than 20 hours, bringing almost total devastation.
They're getting a lot of distress calls for persons needing rescue, needing to be rescued, but we cannot get to them right now. But as you can tell, we are going to need a lot of support after this hurricane is over.
Torrential rains inundated homes and submerged the Grand Bahama Airport under 6 feet of water. Dorian weakened to a Category 2 storm this morning as winds dipped below 110 miles an hour. Forecasters say Dorian will move dangerously close to the U.S. eastern seaboard, running parallel to the Florida coast through tomorrow evening. Then they expect it to continue north toward Georgia and South Carolina. While the storm's core is expected to remain offshore, heavy rain, strong winds, and dangerous storm surges are expected to reach land. More than 2 million people in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina have been warned to evacuate.
Our message for today is this. This is a very serious storm, and a western shift, that is towards land, of just a few miles could bring enormous damage to our state. So we want everyone to heed the warnings. Best thing to do is to be safe. Don't be sorry, be safe. Leave.
Some parts of Florida's east coast began to feel the storm's wrath early this morning. Outer rain bands and winds sent waves crashing on shore. But in other areas, sunshine and surf lured people outdoors. Given the dire forecast that began last week, some took the latest warnings in stride.
Just another storm. See, I'm from Atlantic City, New Jersey, and we always have storms and all that, you know. So it's just another storm to me. Doesn't bother me.
Others were on edge.
At one point, it was supposed to be almost a direct hit here, you know, so we were really geared up for, you know, the worst of the worst, you know, and then it went from being at a really elevated, kind of antsy, scared moment to, you know, being able to relax a little more, but at the same time, just wanting it to go through so we could get back to our normal lives.
That uncertainty poses a challenge for local emergency response officials.
If you want to leave, we'll let you leave.
Linda Stoughton is Director of Emergency Management for St. Johns County, south of Jacksonville.
We just want them to stay vigilant at this time. Do we worry about them saying, well, it may not be this level of storm? Yes, we do worry about that.
Her team is urging residents to stay alert.
There is a level of patience that comes with this. The storm was stationary, moving at 1 mile per hour, back to moving to 1 mile per hour. So the storm's in charge of its timeline. We have to flex to that timeline, but be ready when it does arrive and take care of this, our home.
This morning, winds started picking up in the coastal city of St. Augustine, where Tracy Upchurch is mayor.
It's very hard to predict what's going to happen, and the timing is very confusing as to when we will feel the effects. We've had beautiful weather. That's why I have the sunglasses. It's been sunny all day until just this moment. So keeping people focused, making sure they don't become complacent.
Despite the optimistic forecast, Floridians know that things can change quickly. Right now in St. Augustine, we're beginning to feel the effects of the outer bands of Dorian. The wind has picked up. The skies are threatening. We've had some rain squalls. Everyone here, folks, are hoping that Dorian stays far enough offshore that the damage will be limited to beach erosion along the coastal areas. But just in case, folks have boarded up homes, stores, and shop fronts all along the waterfront here in St. Augustine. Judy?
And John, we can see the wind has picked up there. You told us you've been talking to officials, to people in Florida about rescue efforts in the Bahamas. Tell us what you've learned about that.
Well, the Coast Guard is working hand in hand with Bahamian officials. This morning, a C-130 took off from the Coast Guard station in Clearwater, that's on the Gulf side. It flew to Andros Island. It was filled with medical personnel and medical supplies. Andros Island is also where the Coast Guard has established a base of operations for helicopters for search and rescue operations. Already, 19 people have been evacuated from Marsh Harbor Hospital in the northern Bahamas and flown to Nassau, the capital, where damage has been very light.
And we know they were waiting to get in there. And John, what about private relief agencies? What are you learning about what they're able to do now?
Well, producers Jaewon Cho and Jason Kane have been talking to a number of private relief agencies. They're organizing, they're getting together, they're planning to begin as soon as tomorrow flying supplies to Nassau. But the challenge is getting it to where it's needed in the outer islands, because airports are still underwater and it's very difficult to reach those areas, but they'll be using Nassau as a staging area.
John Yang reporting for us from Florida, where they are still awaiting the brunt of this storm. Thank you, John.